Welcome to Her Own Boss, the podcast and community designed to help you find your inner entrepreneur. Her Own Boss is created by Lucy, Megan, Ben, Sarah, Niki, and me, Aneesah, as we start our careers and learn from the inspiring women who can help us along the way.
Hey everyone, I'm your host Niki, and I am so excited today to be joined by two of my Her Own Boss co-founders, Aneesah Sarwar and Lucy Moran. Aneesah and Lucy share their top tips for finding your perfect side hustle, while drawing on their own experiences to share tips on how side hustles can help support your professional development and how to manage this alongside a full-time job or studies. As always, I hope you enjoy, and to find out more about the Her Own Boss team, be sure to find us on Instagram or LinkedIn, or visit herownboss.co.uk.
This minisode is sponsored by Rise, created by Barclays. Rise is a global community of the world's top innovators that is on a mission to support female founders create the tech solutions that will shape our future for the better. Search Rise, created by Barclays, to find out more.
Hi Lucy, hi Aneesah.
Hi.
Hey Niki.
Hello. I want to say welcome, but obviously you are both co-founders of Her Own Boss, so it's like a welcome home. Welcome home to the podcast. I'm really excited to be chatting with both of you today, and we're going to be talking about side hustles, which I think is really topical because I think side hustles turned into a bit of a buzzword, and I think some people see it as a dirty word, but hopefully what we can kind of bring out of this minisode is that side hustles are a good thing and more people have side hustles than they think. So Aneesah, do you want to start us off by just running through what a side hustle is?
Sure thing. So the typical definition of a side hustle is generally something you do in addition to your main job or occupation that also gives you income. So you might make and sell things on Etsy, you might fill out surveys and go to focus groups, or you could be renting a spare room on Airbnb. However, I do think you can look a little bit more broadly than this. For example, whether you're a student or a working professional, you might have some sort of side hustle or side project, and it doesn't necessarily have to be money making in all instances. So it can include things like being on university society committees, which was actually one of my first main experiences with side hustles or side projects. Similarly, it can also be passion projects like an Instagram page, a blog, or even a podcast. So like us, for example, one of our side hustles is Her Own Boss.
Yeah, thanks, Aneesah. I think that's a really good definition. And my first experience with side hustles was also in uni, like being on societies and club committees, but I definitely didn't view it as that probably until we started doing this podcast. So second big side hustle. But it is good to kind of think more broadly about all of the different things you do outside of your like main full-time study or full-time job as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Lucy, what are some of your tips for finding a side hustle?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think if you're looking to find a side hustle, you want to identify what you want to get out of it. So as Aneesah said, do you want to make money? Or do you want to develop skills and experience for your CV? Or do you simply want to spend time on an interest or passion, or maybe just focus your energy outside of your work or studies? And when you identify if you want to make money or develop skills or whatever, I think it's important to then ask yourself, well, what are you good at and what are you passionate about? And I think it's really important not to ignore the second part, what are you passionate about? Because if you are dedicating time to a side hustle, you don't want to lose that energy for it. So for example, at university, I had a friend that was super good at painting and she wanted to make some cash. So we really encouraged her to go for it, sell some paintings and make that money. But it turned out she wasn't really passionate about painting. She maybe painted like once or twice a month. So it started off really well. And then after like a month, she just really couldn't be bothered with it anymore. And she didn't really have passion for it. So I think it is really important to consider, yeah, you might be good at something, but are you passionate enough to see it through? And then if you want to develop skills and experience, I think it's important to identify the skills that you want to develop. And that will help you find your side hustle. For example, if you are looking to develop skills in digital marketing, there's nothing stopping you from reaching out to a vendor or a friend that makes things like jewelry or animations and ask if they want to have more of an online presence, like an Instagram
and basically manage their accounts for them. And that gives you the experience in digital marketing. Or for example, if you are really passionate about a charity and want to get involved, then reach out to them and put your accountancy degree into practice and become their treasurer. That's something that my friend did. She actually turned that side hustle into her career. So I think to conclude, it's important to identify what you want to get out of your side hustle and then consider what you're good at and what you're passionate about.
Yeah, I'd also add to that. You should also ask yourself things like, how much time do you have to spend on it? And also, do you want to work with other people on it, or is it just something you want to do individually? I also think that if you're going to do something on top of your full-time studies or your job, then it should definitely be something you're passionate about and interested in. Otherwise, thinking long term, it might not be sustainable and you might struggle to stay motivated or disciplined.
Yeah, definitely. To be honest, there might be listeners listening to this thinking, okay, that's great, but there maybe isn't something that I'm particularly passionate about, or I don't have time to create a complex side hustle, or I'm simply just looking for really easy ways to make money. Then that's so fine. And as Aneesah said, there are really easy ways to do that. So for example, you may have a spare room. You can put that on Airbnb, or something that I did when I was actually at school is called mystery shopper. And what a mystery shopper is I literally went into a big fast food chain restaurant. I got paid £20 an hour, and I would sit and eat a meal and simply observe the staff and rate them out of 10. It was about 2 hours long. I did like 2 hours a week, and I got paid so much money for that. There's also like dog walking. You can become a tutor if you have the relevant skills or the qualifications that you gained at school. So there are tons of ways to make money, like really, really easily. If you simply Google easy ways to make money, then there are so many things that come up. So I really encourage you to do that if you are simply just looking for ways to make money on the side of, for example, your studies.
I would also add as well that not everyone needs to have a side hustle. I think we are definitely in a culture right now where it feels like everyone has something on the side, but you shouldn't feel pressure to have one just because your friends do. Everyone kind of wants different things in life and everyone's unique. So yeah, don't really feel too much pressure to go out and find a side hustle.
Yeah, that's such a good note to kind of end the section on tips for finding a side hustle, I think, Aneesah, because definitely, like I was saying at the beginning, side hustle is such a buzzword, but I think with buzzwords comes a lot of pressure to be involved in that. And there's almost like this fear of missing out where you look around and you think, okay, everyone has a side hustle and I don't. But you don't need to have one. It's about, like Lucy said at the beginning, you really need to work out why you want a side hustle. And if nothing else, it should be something that you're passionate about, because otherwise you probably won't have the energy to keep going with it. So I think, yeah, all of those were really, really, really good tips. I think it would be good to talk next about how side hustles can help your professional development. You know, side hustles can be really good for kind of putting your passions into action and finding that energy outside of work, maybe even getting, you know, a little bit of extra money on the side, like Lucy did with mystery shopping, which, by the way, sounds like a dream job. Mm-hmm. But there are lots of other ways side hustles can help you. So I'd love to kind of get your thoughts on how side hustles can help your professional development.
Yeah, sure. I've developed so much from my side hustle from Her Own Boss. And I think the best part about having a side hustle is that you get to choose what skills you want to develop. So, for example, your 9-to-5 job or the degree you're studying at university, it might not give you the opportunity to develop certain skills that you're interested in. And when you have a side hustle, you're in control. So you get to create opportunities for yourself. And I found that I got to create opportunities for myself through this podcast to become more employable and to go more into marketing. So that's an area that I'm really interested in entering. And Megan and I head up marketing for Her Own Boss, and that's provided me with the relevant skills and experience to fill up my CV.
Yeah, Lucy, you and Meg are doing an amazing job with the marketing. So definitely something you need to highlight on your CV. And like you were saying, Lucy, I've also developed so much from any of the side hustles or projects I worked on, either at university or even whilst I'm working. So this includes a lot of soft skills development like communication, organization, leadership, all of those buzzwords that employers love to hear. And I've also been able to think strategically about things and actually deliver and actually make an impact, which I think can sometimes be a little bit trickier when you are just at university. It also really helps you develop an entrepreneurial mindset. And if you're applying for jobs, it can really ensure that your application stands out from the crowd. It gives your CV that edge, and similarly, during interviews, it can add to your personality and make you more memorable to the interviewer, because you can have a really interesting conversation with them about your side hustle. And especially if it's something you're passionate about, that passion will come through. And I think this is really important in a competitive job market where almost everyone has a degree, an apprenticeship, or a similar level of work experience. One of our previous guests as well, Maddie Astor, she also touched on a few ways that side hustles can be used in your CV in a previous minisode. So we'll be sure to link that in the show notes in case anyone wants to delve deeper into it.
Yes, definitely. I would recommend everyone to go and listen to that minisode with Maddie. We cover so many different ways that your side hustle can really be good for your own personal and career development, but also how to sort of sell that on a CV so that future employers see your side hustle as a really positive thing, and kind of see it as an asset to you as a candidate. So I'd really recommend that. I think the other thing that would be really good to touch on with you, Lucy and Aneesah, is how to sort of practically manage your side hustle, because while it can be, again, a great way to kind of put your passions to action and can give you loads of energy, it's just sometimes it feels like an extra thing on the to-do list to do after you're finished studying for the day or after you're finished working for the day. So it'd be really good to hear your tips about how you manage your side hustle and balance that with full-time jobs.
So to anyone who's got a side hustle with their full-time job, I think it's really important to have a good relationship with your employer about your side hustle. So talk openly about it with your manager and talk about how it contributes to your main job and what skills you're bringing to your job and how it's really helping you there. And of course, you need to make sure that you're still performing on your full-time job, because that's your priority. And I assume anyway that that's what's providing most of your income. I'd also say as well, you should check your contract and maybe speak to HR to ensure there's no conflict of interest with your main job and any of your side hustles.
Yeah. And one thing I would definitely add to that, Aneesah, is you're so right. Definitely prioritize the job that provides the income you rely on. And that doesn't mean that you can't spend lots of time in your side hustle, but you should be prepared to prioritize that job. And maybe that means work late or work your weekends on your side hustle. And if you're finding that working on your side hustle is becoming a bit of a chore and you don't really want to spend time on it anymore and you're constantly feeling burnt out and you can't really be bothered with it, I would definitely consider taking a step back and having a break to prioritize your mental health. We did a fantastic burnout minisode with one of our guests, Tiwa. I would definitely check that out if that's what you're feeling like. And if it doesn't really get better over time, then I would consider maybe ending it. And that's so totally okay as well. Side hustles can be temporary. They don't have to be long term. Another point that I would make, I'd say it's definitely okay to ask for help and grow out a team. So with Her Own Boss, we have 6 of us that all do like different roles and add value in different ways and bring different ideas to the table. And that's the beauty of our team. And I think that's why we work so well. So if you maybe aren't passionate about one aspect of your side hustle, for example, building a website or the selling aspect, then you can always ask your friends or people that share similar passions to you to be part of your team and kind of take it from there.
I so agree with that, Lucy. The more the merrier. And I think in terms of like splitting up workload, it's such a blessing to have such a great team working on this podcast as well. Any sort of closing thoughts about side hustles? I found all of this really, really useful, and it's good as well to, even if you already have a side hustle, kind of take a moment to reflect on why you're doing it and again, reset and make sure that this is, you know, either a passion or something that's giving you something extra, whether that's in terms of skills or money or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I would say have fun. It's so important to have fun. Even if it's for money, even if it's just for your CV or it's something that you're passionate about and want to try out, have fun with it, because life is too short. And side hustles are such a nice way to kind of spark joy in your life and focus on something that you actually enjoy, maybe outside of your 9-to-5 job or university studies that maybe bore you. So definitely have fun with your side hustle. That's the most important thing.
100% agree with that, Lucy. That was an amazing closing. I love it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Aneesah.
Thanks, Niki. It was so much fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, then please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating. It helps with our visibility so that even more amazing women like you can find Her Own Boss. You can find out more about us at herownboss.co.uk, or by searching Her Own Boss Podcast on Instagram and LinkedIn.